All right. Hi everyone. Back to talk about like um, sort of like not a review, but sort of like some incoherent ramblings about one of the um lenses that I acquired recently for the Leica M, and this is the Voigtlander 50 millimeter f1 aspherical. So this is the lens that I'm talking about. Like, and it's a product shot that I did with another camera. Um, so um, just just the highlight of it. I was surprised by how this lens performs for the price that you have to pay for. I paid for this like $1,800. Um, and from Camera Quest. Again, I got it last week. Putting through his faces, and I didn't think I would come away impressed more than it did. So let's start with the first one. This is a portrait that was taken in my home studio. These are basically just two lights. No, I think this one's yeah. This is a single light. Um, the subject left. There's a AD Kodak AD 300 with an octobox. Here on the like the subject left, and yeah, and just um a reflector on his right. So as you can see, like it's this is at f1, and this is why I needed to use an AD 300, a battery powered one, because otherwise with a full blown AC powered uh, monolights, I cannot get to like output to allow me to do f1 without using ND filters. So I needed to use the AD3, the battery power, so I could put the power enough so that I could use f1. So yeah, uh, there's not much um, what's the word editing on this one. It's pretty much like out of the box. I mean, out of camera with the M11. I mean, is it the sharpest lens that I've had? No, but it's sharper than it's punching above its weight, so to speak. Given it's a f1. I mean, here you could. This is not something that I added. It's actually like vignetting that's caused by the lens. I mean, which is understandable. F1, whatever. So I mean, I'm not too concerned about like the fall off. Um, and mind you, like that fall off is because of the fact that like I'm using the lights at such a low power. So I mean, it gives like that nice effect without having to do too much post processing. But yeah, I mean, you can see here, like on the ear, um, you can see that it's not really like there's not too much correction that's being done, because you could see the green cast on the autofocused areas. But anything that's in focus, it's pretty sharp, as you can see. Like, the colors are nice. Like, there's an overall glow to it because of the like again, it's not fully like corrected. Not like there's no glass elements here that's allows it to fully correct all the CA, but again, like it gives that certain look to the appearance of the resulting photo, that 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 softness, um but not too much that you would say that the lens is soft. um so this one is kind of the same setup. I just asked the subject to face me like directly on the camera, so I could show you like that at f1, like how much it falls, how pretty much is on, like the eyes is in focus and everything else just kind of like melts away in the background. um Again, because of the fact that it's not super corrected. The the CA is like, the veiling is still obvious here. Like the green, the Loca also present. But again, I'm not complaining. It's just that it's the nature of the beast. F1, but again, at F1, you cannot really say that it's not sharp. And mind you, this is on an M11, 60 plus megabytes camera. So yeah. Here, what I want to show next is probably this. So before that, I guess let's talk about here. I mean, here this it's a still a somewhat different setup. Like, the main light, the key light, on the right, on the left of the subject, with Octobox 8300, and then at the subject right, well, just behind him is a another light, an ED100 with a smaller Octobox with a grid. So we could focus the light here, so like, kind of like a hair light behind it, just to have like a better separation from the background since it's all black. But yeah, I mean, so here, it's f1, still f1, and you can see that i I don't know how to say it. There's a certain, because of, like, it's sharp, but the chromatic aberration is not fully corrected. That that again, that certain glow that kind of lends itself to having a pleasing results for the portrait at f1. Now let's compare this with another lens, which on your right, so same setup. The one on the right is the Voigtlander Apple Lanthar 50 millimeter at wide open. I know it's kind of like not really a apples to apples comparison, but it, like, it becomes like, even though you could say that the f1 is sharp, but pitted next to the Apple, it's not even a contest. So like, even here, like, even like the eye that's in focus, you could still, without question, conclude that the Apple is much sharper. And of course, like, it's a different rendering. Like, I mean, it's probably like, since I'm talking about mainly about the f1, I'm not gonna talk about too much about the Apple, but, different rendering, a different effect, but it depends on, I guess, on what you're looking for. I'm basically saying that one does not really replace the other. I mean, a lot of the times I would prefer the rendering from the Apple, only because, like, my taste gravitate towards like the more modern lenses, and this certainly fits that bill, the Voigtlander Apple. But of course, there's a certain appeal that the f1, that that's not really that's that's not really easy to quantify. What? The next one, um, and again, we're back at just using the F1 Voigtlander, and this is was shot using the M9. I turned it to a monochrome because I I messed up the exposure on this one, so putting it in like in color. The M9 doesn't have as you know, does not a very have a wide dynamic range, so I pretty much almost like overexpose the highlights, so I just converted to black and white to a to lessen that effect. But with the M9, like it's lower megapixel, it even gives you an apparent sharpness that the F1 provides are wide open, while still giving that out of focus softness that that separates it from all the other lenses. So this one is also from the M9. Again, like with the with the lower megapixel count, it gives it provides even a better performance as a result. And of course, with the M9, with the colors, it accentuates that nice colors of that even highlights what the lens can do. Yeah, that pretty much it. And like here, I have like a couple of a few more M11 shots. This is like outside or indoors in an ice, like an indoor shot. Still at f1, so now it gives you this somewhat like even less clinical look to the lens. Same with this one, like not very not too sharp, but you cannot really say that it's not sharp enough, because again, this is on a 60 megapixel camera. And this last one is just like to show you like what the lens can do at f1, obliterating the background. So yeah, I mean, there's enough contrast, like I mean, there's CA again. I cannot, like I know I'm repeating myself. There's CA that allows, like you could see color fringing and what have you, but it's not distracting enough to take away what the lens can do on, like giving that soft yet sharp look. All right, I mean, so that's basically like kind of like a kind of like a tour of like what the Voigtlander F1 can do for your photography. So if this is something that you're looking for, if you're looking for that noctilux sharpness and glow without, and you don't want to spend too much, this might be the lens that you need. And mind you, like as I've said earlier, it's not a replacement for anything that you have in your stable, like the 50 Apple. I mean, these are two different lenses, and I think for two different purposes. So if you can afford to keep both, you probably need to buy both. All right, until next time.